Hi, my name is Mike, and this is a story about my adventure in my lovely yacht, White Malkin. And if you look carefully, just below the position, the latitude and longitude position, you'll see a picture of my boat, and you'll see a green blob in the back, which is another yacht, which is Mooncrester, with Richard North on board. And as I say, our paths literally cross. And this is a bigger boat, so obviously you'd expect it to go faster, wouldn't you? But he's doing very, very, very well indeed. And remember, he's racing, so got to take my hat off to him. You can see the wind is a bit blowy, 25 knots, then 27 knots, 26 knots, 27. Yeah, so you know, it's the top end of what is comfortable, isn't it? I've got one reef in. I think Richard's got a couple in. I don't blame him. If it goes up to 30, I should be tucking a second reef in, because once the boat goes up to boat speed, no point in stressing the boat, no point at all. It's all about comfort. Okay. There we are, another yacht, 350 miles from land, and there's another yacht, and we were on a converging course, and her name is Affinity. And she's feeding into it, we're not. And she looks as if she's only got a motor sailing. So she's got some tasty weather to come. It's quite nice here now. Been through all that tasty weather. Hopefully I'm going to get a bit calmer stuff tomorrow. So there we are, that's from the wandering red triangle there, and this is where we've come from, there, which is Falmouth, and the little yellow track, that was me, and the wind vane, and obviously the wind, because remember, the wind vane only ever follows the wind. It doesn't follow a course per se, it's following the direction of the wind, the direction of how you set it. And if you want to change course, you have to change course. Whereas with an autopilot, that will just follow a compass direction, magnetic direction. So this is the course that I downloaded through Predict Wind. It's a bit of a funny old course, isn't it? But there we go. That's what it looks like, and each day I will update that, which I've done today, and that is that one there. So that shows you the wind, sort of shows you where I am. I'm that little white dot over there in there. Oops, get rid of that. I'm that little white dot anyway. And it tells us here that it's going to get a little bit, oh, not there, that one there. There you go. Warning, roll. Obviously something not to be enjoyed, but there you go. We've got what we've got. And we're roughly on our line, on the red line, roughly. Don't want to go too far south, because obviously it's a little bit windier, isn't it? The southerly part of that. And you want so much wind, you don't want too much. And tomorrow I'll be around about there, I should imagine, and we'll give it a little look and see if we've got what alterations, if any, that there are. Interesting enough, there is a thunderstorm down in the Azores. If I press that little button there, no, not that one. There you go, a thunderstorm High seas forecast, and it's forecast for 8:34 on the 18th. So it must be blowing there now, if that's the case. But and there's the Azores just there, that group of islands just down at the bottom there. There you go. So it's a long way. It's 1,300 miles. And how many days? Well, I'm guessing probably 10, maybe 9, but we'll see. It'll be the number of days what it is, as long as it's safe. That's the main thing. Hello. It's night time now. It's half light outside actually. I went to start the engine. I started the engine to charge the batteries. The batteries are on 74%, and although they're big batteries, 360 ampere, I thought, well, you know, top them up now rather than do it tomorrow. It's been 2 days since they've been charged, so there's plenty of power in them. But you know, I like batteries that are topped up. So I started the engine, and shortly after that the alternator got so hot that it was playing around with the regulator. Anyway, now it's stopped charging altogether, so but fortunately I've managed to get 80% in the batteries. It sounds like there might be a problem with the alternator. I just hope that it gets us to the Azores without too much of a headache, because obviously these yachts don't run on oil lamps anymore. They run on electricity from 12-volt systems. So bear with me. Out of adversity, always you always win in the end. I took a green one over the side today, and it made my shoes wet and my socks wet. So they're now sitting on top of the engine, getting dry. So I'll just give you a quick peek at that. Where was that one there? So there you go. So there we are. That's my socks and my shoes, which are drying, I hope, and then I'll be able to have nice dry shoes in the morning. I should have put my boots on, shouldn't I? Never mind. I did have my harness on, by the way. So there we are. That's it. That's a little problem that you get when you're on these voyages, and you just got to work your way through them gradually and be positive about it. Well, it's time for tea, or time to cook tea anyway, and the last 2 days couldn't cook anything at all really, so I think I've just lived off cold food really. And now I'm going to have a nice omelette. No, it's a gammon with peppers, onion and broccoli, all cooking away there, and I've got a couple of eggs there to smash up and pour over it, and probably put it under the grill for a while as well. But it's going to be very nice. Anyway, there's all my fresh food there and there. It's all going gradually. So there we go. White Malkin restaurant. There we are. That's what I want to show you. Now on there you can see our position, of course. You can see the which is depicted by those two sets of numbers there, latitude and longitude, and you'll see that that's where the boat is. The boat is just there, and you'll see the little pink line. That's our track, and I'll explain the reason why it's all sort of come around. Okay, and you'll see the wind direction and the speed. There, 11 knots. That's an average, by the way. I don't think that's the apparent wind. I think that's true. And then you'll see this little arrow here. It's got 1.1 in it. Well, believe it or not, that is the direction of the current. How it detects that is
is all the instruments talking to each other, and it's coming up with, well, boat speed, it's coming up with speed over the ground, and it's sort of calculating that that is the way you're being, you've got to set. Now, considering I'm on a starboard tack, so I've got the wind coming from there, so I'm on starboard tack, the wind's on the starboard side, and consider that you've got this direction that way, that shows that it's current. And it's very interesting with the current, because I'm going to show you something else, if I may. Let me just get it while you're looking at that. There you go. Let's go back to that. There you go. Right. Now, I'm going to you're now going to look at the weather routing that I've got for this period of time. Oops. There you go. Right. So there's the weather routing. So again, you can see a little boat. Well, ignore the little boat for 1 minute because that's about time. The white dot, that little white dot just there, is us. And this is the wizardry, as I call it, of predict wind. And they take the boat polars, your personal polars, they take everything. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And they've got all these algorithms for weather sites and what have you. So I set the course from where we were, which was just there, where we were at that time when I downloaded this weather route. And that's where I wanted to go to. Now, the reason I put in Ponte Delgado again, rather than Sierra, is because the previous forecast was showing that I needed to go straight by Ponte Delgado. So I thought, well, what's the point of going all the way to Sierra? Why not just nip into Ponte Delgado and have a bit of a break? You know, the course was literally sailing right past the front door. So I thought, no, well, we'll alter that then. We'll go to Ponte Delgado, and then I'll meet up with Richard some other time, and I may even just stay one night and then sail on to Tertiaire. I don't know, but anyway, that seemed logical at the time. But what I was going to explain about currents is that if I press, I'm going to get a bit closer. See, you've got a little triangle there. Now, if I press that little triangle, there we are. What does it say? It says warning: vertical acceleration and roll. Now, what that means in English, rough. It was actually very rough, and the reason it's rough, you think, well, why would you get that out in the Atlantic? You know, I mean, Christ, I'm 250 miles off the closest point of land, which is Spain, incidentally, at that time. So it's got to be these currents and the wind against the current, because I'm going in that direction, okay, and the currents and the wind was coming in that direction, and the current is going in that direction, or rather in that direction. Where's my finger? Oh, there it is. Where's my finger? Oh yeah, it's going in that direction. So you've got, in essence, you've got current going that way. You've got wind coming this way. So in effect, you've got this perfect wind over current scenario. And of course, it kicks up the sea. And what with the strength of the wind, it's blowing top end of 20 knots in the gusts, and so it's quite okay. Then it go down to sort of 18, 19, then it come back up to sort of 25, 27. You know, but of course it's kicked up the whole shebang, the whole area. And of course, there you are. That's what we were sailing. That was the system that we were sailing through. We were getting affected by that. So that's really an explanation of why it was so rough yesterday. Well, of course now, you know, it's looking outside, it's, you know, it's fine. It's, you know, that's okay. We're doing nearly 7 knots over the ground, over 6 knots over the ground, which is good. And I'm just going to go and have a cup of tea. Yesterday evening it was so rough that all I had for my tea was a tin of baked beans, cold, out of the tin. You couldn't cook anything. It was impossible. You know, it wouldn't have stayed in the pan, let alone the pan stayed on the stove. It would have been everywhere. So I thought, well, to save cleaning up, I won't bother. So I just had a tin of beans. But I was extremely tired, so I turned in quite early. I've had at least 8 hours. I've said 8 hours, but no, I think it was probably more than that. But okay, I got up once and just peeked outside, and everything was fine. Everything seemed okay. But in essence, I had a very good sleep, and I think I needed it. Okay, well, start of another day. So onwards and upwards. Got a few 100 miles yet to do, and hopefully the weather gods will look after us, and I know White Malkin will. Cheers and bye-bye.
Hi, it's still Saturday 22nd, and look, the sun's come out. So lunch in the cockpit today. Lunch is healthy lunch today, so it's cheese and biscuits and apple with no alcohol. Lovely glass of, a cup actually, of orange juice. So this morning, all good, everything's good. Downloaded a new grid weather route, and go for it. Probably another 4 days, I suppose, before I get to the Azores. My intention is still to go to Sierra, but it might be Ponte Delgado in the end, because we've got some strange things happening with the weather at the moment, and there is a bit of a blowout there, another bigger blow than well, I've had on this voyage anyway. And this is north of me, which is good. And interesting, at the moment I've got what are we doing, 5.5 knots, nearly 6 knots through the water, 5.1 over the speed over the ground, which is good. It's interesting, you wouldn't think that there were currents such strong currents in the oceans, but they're stronger than what you think. And with all this new chart plotting wizardry that we've got to hand, you can actually, it does measure that. Measures your speed, of course your steering, the wind, and of course from the satellite, your actual direction and your speed, your location. So yeah, it is something which is good, but just shows you that there are currents, and sometimes those currents are against the wind, and that is what I experienced for the last few days, was the current versus the wind direction, and obviously the strength of the wind. So yes, it's something which is to be taken into account, not disregarded. It's not just A to B sailing. It's a bit like when you sail around the coast of the UK. For instance, we've got currents and tides, and we say, oh, the tide is going this way, or the tide is going that way. Well, actually, it's the current that is going that way. The tides only go up and down. The currents go in different directions. So it is something that you sort of ignore when you go across oceans, but you can't ignore it. It is there. You can't do anything about it either, by the way. It's not like saying, oh well, we'll wait for the tide to turn and then we'll go in that direction or this direction. You're just sailing the ocean, and you put up with the current that's there, and there's not much you can do about it. But of course, what it does happen, it does kick up these what they call vertical accelerations, which basically makes it rough. We've all heard of Portland race, Portland Bill. We've all heard of lots of overfalls at different headlands. Well, it happens actually in the ocean. You don't have to wait for a headland, it actually happens. And that's something which obviously makes the sea very, very confused. So you get this long swell, which is what we all recognise with sailing in oceans, but you get a very confused sea in amongst that swell, and of course it does make it quite dangerous actually, but for small boats anyway. But as I say, the Rustler's a good yacht, not an issue, but it is something that you just need to be mindful of. Anyway, I'm going to go enjoy my lunch and catch you later.
It's calmed down now a bit, thank you guys. And, we've got two reefs in and a tiny little bit of Genoa. It's just screaming along. She was screaming along at 9 knots constant for a few hours. It just couldn't stand up. So I just laid down, just let her get on with it. And she did. Good old white Malkin. Now we're about 180 miles to go, I think. Something like that. 100 miles, no more than 200. Anyway, I'm going to put the kettle on. I'm thirsty. And over there's a motor yacht on a reciprocal course, so they must be going to somewhere in Portugal, I suppose. But you don't see many motor yachts, if any motor yachts, going across oceans. You normally see them put on lift ships and taken to where they want to go. I wouldn't want to pay his fuel bill. No, he's doing about 10 knots apparently, according to the AIS, which he set off. So he's under about 1.5 miles away now. He's doing about 10 knots. I've just had an incredible sighting just before that. A whale. I don't know what type of whale, I'm not into whales really. But anyway, it was a big whale. And it came right alongside the boat, again in a reciprocal direction. And
add to that, this morning I was resetting the hydrovane, and I saw this rather large black and white hatched mammal go underneath the boat on the stern, the starboard quarter, and it must have been 15, 18, 20 foot long, something like that. I can only suppose it was an orca. Normally the orcas are on the coast of Portugal, but I suppose this is their backyard as well. So there we go. So fortunately he didn't play with hydrovane rudder, which he could rip off quite simply, and anyway, just glided up past the boat and just carried on. But both of those happenings, you know, I didn't have the camera with me. Well, you don't, do you? When you're concentrating on sailing, especially if you're solo. But there we go, there's a motor yacht, quite a big one actually, quite a big motor yacht, but I wouldn't want to pay his fuel bill.
Well, thank you very much indeed for watching my vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it entertained you. My next vlog will be in 7 days' time, and I very much look forward to you joining me on my continued voyage around the world on my beautiful Rustler 36 White Malkin.